me to just long you sync it up.
Nah, I'm just trying to make sure my levels ain't peaking. Let me hear you one more time, Liv.
Hello?
I just want to make sure you ain't peaking when you talking.
Hello?
No, say something else, like a sentence.
How long are we going to be shooting for tonight?
Probably like 55 minutes.
Wow. That seems like a long time to discuss this.
But it's not just going to be discussing this, as I said earlier, if you were listening. All right. You hear something, Jayden? Because I'm peaking, actually. So
you turn stuff down here?
Yeah.
Or,
wait, which one was Liv?
This you, Liv, guest.
All right, Liv, say something one more time.
Hello? Goodbye.
A sentence, my nigga.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know like how much you needed. So I'm going to just keep talking and talking and talking until you tell me to stop.
So get enthusiastic for a second.
Oh, my God.
All right. One more time.
You're such an asshole.
I can't be. Let me hear you something. Let me hear you, Jay.
I don't know what you want me to say.
When's your birthday?
April 3rd, 1998.
What's your favorite color?
Black.
Any more enthusiasm behind that?
My favorite color is black.
All right, there we go. I'm just trying to make sure, because if you get into something, I don't want you to start peeking.
I might start peeking because...
You ready to go hand?
No.
Oh.
I just get real passionate.
Okay.
Good. We need that. All right. Right there. All right, so, see, I'm peeking already. All right, so, still peeking. Yo. All right, that should be good, because I'm going to be right here, and I'll be just getting my levels. I'm about to sync it up.
You can always change those.
Yeah. If I catch it, I'm going to definitely change it. I'm about to sync it.
I've been floating for days and I ain't even wake up yet. Can't remember last time I saw the sunset. Couple vibes, couple lives that we're living out. Sometimes you gotta blend before you standing out.
Live. We got we got a guest today. Very special guest. His name is Jayden. And you got the juice, man. You know, that's me. Not OJ, but just juice. So, Jayden, before we even stop, you know what I mean, start this hot tea, because this shit's piping right now. Nah, I'm kidding. Tell people who you are, man. Tell people about yourself.
I'm a senior at Stockton, media production major, Africana studies minor, president UBSS, some other things we won't discuss right now.
The press. You got the press. I know he was the president of a club. That's what's up. I'm a secretary of a veterans club. That don't mean shit to you because you're a president. So
I mean, that means something.
You're the what?
Secretary. Yeah, exactly.
No.
He's trying.
Yeah, we have a secretary, but secretaries don't do anything.
I'm a president. I feel you. Nah, so basically, y'all know why we here. Marshawn Lynch, you feel me? I'm only here so I don't get fined. But so recently, I put out a insensitive tweet, and without delving too much, I'm gonna have it on the screen when I edit it, so you'll see it. It was about weight, and in my eyes, it was taken out of context, but I could see how it could be taken the other way. I'm not saying I was right. I'm not saying I was completely wrong, but I'm let them take it away because I don't want to delve too deep into it. I want them to tell me how they feel first, and then I'll tell you where I was coming from. So,
well, I have to read it. So that
go ahead, read it. No, I wasn't gonna tell you not to read it. I was gonna let y'all take it away.
So the tweet says,
dot.
2019 turned being obese into a desired lifestyle? ! I thought being fit was the goal of fitness clothing. So when you see the screenshot that'll be posted, you'll see the photo of the Nike campaign for the I would say the Nike campaign is pushing for different body types to feel inclusive, and I think we live in a very inclusive society, so I'm going to segue into my opinion on that. So I think that considering the time we live in is very inclusive, everyone's all about their opinion being heard, being accepted in any space, being able to walk in somewhere and not be judged because they're not of a certain way and things like that. I feel like mannequins and models have always played on the psyche of the consumer, not just men or women. Maybe mainly women because women, statistically shop more. But I think mannequins and models have always had that effect on people. I mean, we see it in catalogs and stuff like that. It's just always been one body type. So when I initially seen the campaign, I was just like, wow, a positive wow, of course. Definitely more affirmative and standing by it. I was just like, okay, I see nothing wrong with it, but I also didn't see the girl posing next to it. So maybe that was why your opinion was maybe more swayed to how you worded it.
I'll tell you my opinion after y'all go.
But yeah, I just think
where I was coming from, because
I'm kind of on the fence as far as when it comes to defending what you said.
I'm not asking nobody to defend
I know you're not.
Yeah.
But since I'm on the fence, I'm going to talk about both sides. So I think your side, you have, you're the right to say what you want. And I think that when we had the discussion and you elaborated on it, the way you worded it was definitely, it was easy to take it.
It was very insensitive. It was like,
it was very easy to feel
shout
that
out
way.
the gun, I feel you.
Absolutely.
Because afterwards, I even had a conversation with people close to me, and they told me, yo, after I explained it, because they know the type of person I am, so after I explained it to them, which I will do later, they understood where I was coming from, but they still said, listen, the way you said it didn't seem like the way you meant it.
Right.
And I understand.
That's why I'm on the fence too. And I think it's slightly because I know you.
Right.
So like when I just read the screenshot, I read it from someone who posted it that probably doesn't even know you. That's how far it got. Like someone screenshotted it and put it on another social network,
Instagram.
like on Instagram in their story. You know what I mean?
Several
and they
people.
screenshotted it from someone else.
Several
so
people.
it's like, also, I think you took for granted your platform because nothing you ever really put out there went even semi-viral.
Well, once I did.
So maybe you weren't even really expecting to,
right.
For that to even project
the other
that
one?
way.
I put up a pen tweet of my son.
Oh.
And under Nathan Zed.
Yeah.
He had put up post your art, and people was posting their art and stuff, and I posted my son, and I got like viral, but that was different.
Yeah.
That was nothing like.
Oh, I can see why that would go viral.
Yeah.
You
go ahead.
Yeah, definitely go.
Okay.
That was my go.
Well,
Segue.
one, I don't know you. I didn't know you at the time.
Right.
So when the other Liv put it on her story, I was like, what?
Shout out to Liv too.
Can I see the thing again?
Yeah.
It was very much so like, Yeah, I gotta see it again.
Nah, don't hold no punches. I need
Hold on, I'm about to show you right now.
Oh no, baby, I won't. Hold on. So, 2019 turned being obese into a desired lifestyle. I thought being fit was the goal of fitness clothing. It was very tone deaf because when did we say that obese people desire to be obese?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Because like no big person is like, damn, I love being big.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I want to be big.
Or strives to gain
weight.
Or
strives to gain weight.
Yeah.
And it's like being a bigger person, like what you were saying with inclusiveness, I don't see myself in these stores.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So when I saw the campaign when it first came out,
yeah,
I was like, finally, like, I don't got to just wear sweatpants and a t-shirt. I can wear like a full.
Or while I'm shopping over here, I see a mannequin that looks like me.
Looks like me. And it was like, and I could tell when I saw the tweet that you weren't a part of that community.
Right.
Because I was like, any person a part of this community wants this. Because it's like, we finally don't have to put on our basketball shorts that's green and then wear our blue shirt and nothing match and you look crazy. And it's like, I finally can put on a full set and go to the gym.
Right.
And look like I go to the gym. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of it.
All right, so I've heard, and of course I'm listening objectively because I'm the subject of the matter. You know what I'm saying? So I have really no choice but to listen objectively.
Yeah.
So to basically drive home the point and give context to where I was coming from, you know what I'm saying? This stemmed from a podcast I was listening to before. I listen to podcasts frequently. I listen to radio. I'm still like stuck in like the 90s in a way, but I like conversation and I like conversing. So I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. I'm not plugging you, Joe, but in the podcast they were basically talking about the mannequin, and he was coming at it from a different point of view. It was like basically he was coming at it from why, and I didn't see it as why. Charlamagne the God was on the podcast, and he was like, if they're doing it to get fit, then I understand. But then my mind went to the place of, I understand that, but where's the male mannequin? Why is it just the female? And then I seen it as from a marketing standpoint, because I'm always thinking, my mind's always churning. So I felt like this is not even like even trying to help big people. You feel me? This is more or less a money ploy, like a marketing scheme. Because as you see, like Pride, you have like African American history or Black history. You have like Spanish Heritage Month. When those months come out, you got marketing campaigns
affiliated clothing
directly towards like last month the Pride flag was everywhere, and
July 1st it was taken down.
Exactly. Right. And I having a little brother that's living in Vegas and he's part of that community. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? Having family that's Spanish, having family that's Black. When those campaigns go up, I feel like it's disingenuous almost. And I was coming from that standpoint, like, yo, y'all not even, like, y'all just trying to make it desired, and then y'all using it as a marketing ploy. And that's how I felt. Like, I wasn't taking a jab at anybody per se. I wouldn't have used her. That was the first picture I saw on Twitter. You know, I should have Googled the Nike mannequin or what have you and just used the mannequin. I just used the first picture I saw. My whole thing was they're not even trying to basically help that community. It's more or less a money grab. You feel me? And I'm like, when I said desire, that's what I was reaching toward. That's why I never like pointed out any one person. I never said he, she. You know what I mean? I said desire, and it came out the wrong way. And I can honestly say that's not what I meant when it came out.
I think if anyone like just heard it, like just from rereading it now, like when you just read the first sentence, like 2019 turned being obese into a desired lifestyle. I feel like, especially if I was someone who was considered obese, it would definitely feel like, in what way has this become desired?
Right.
I mean, them making the mannequin, I personally didn't feel was them glorifying.
No, but I was going to come. What's the word I'm looking for? I was going to expound on that basically, because it didn't come out with more equipment. Like, if it was just
like
the clothes,
you think they should have maybe came out with like workout equipment that was more easier for them to use?
Not even that. Like, excuse me, on a simpler level, where's the shoes? You know what I'm saying? The shoes, because people have fat feet.
Like a wide.
Like my dad. Like, he can't wear certain shoes because he's a big guy. They don't come out with wider shoes now. Like, in certain size. Like, they have a certain. I noticed because I worked at a shoe store for a long time. There are a certain set of shoes that come in wide, but the latest shoes, the latest workout shoes, they don't come in wide. Where's the waist trainers? Where's the girdles? Where's if you really stand up behind this campaign? Where's the rest of stuff that comes with it? I feel like all you did was take a set of clothes, make them bigger, and say, all right, we tried. Here you go. And then give us your money.
I feel you. Do you also feel like this could just be a start, though?
Is it, though?
Could it? I mean, we don't know.
It could.
I'm going to only say I see that because it's just opening of the campaign.
I feel you.
So, like, with a campaign, you have, like, the one release.
Right.
And then, like, they're going to push out more stuff.
I
agree with the whole, like, companies using certain things just to make money.
Right.
That's capitalism. Right. That's
feeding off of people's emotions.
So it's like Pride Month, they're going to put up the flag. Then July 1st, going to take it down, put up the American flag.
Right.
Black History Month, that's the only time we talk about Black history.
Right.
But the tweet itself, yes, you understand that it was just badly worded or whatever. Yeah. How could you have worded it to where it came across how you wanted to say it?
Right. I could have more attacked the company instead of like the person, because it seemed like I was making a direct jab to the person when, in all honesty, I wasn't. I could have came more at Nike. I could have came at more at the marketing schemes, I just felt like, you know, in the instance when you tweet something, you're not really thinking about how it's gonna come out. You're not even thinking it's gonna go viral. You're just tweeting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And most times you say what's on your mind, and if people get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. You know what I'm saying? But and if coming from somebody who never goes viral, you're not expecting that. You know what I'm saying? So when I tweeted it, I didn't expect it to just boom, but it did, and I was just like, well.
And what put me on the fence too was definitely you using the word desire in the beginning, because if you look at it from like, you know, the standpoint of, I would say the side that you stand more on, it's like, who desires to be like that? You know what I mean?
Right.
But when you get the chance to elaborate and then you explain, I feel like you use the word desired more so to expound upon the actual fact that the company used the mannequin,
right?
Because like I was speaking on earlier, we used to desire to be this size or whatever we seen that was projected to us before,
right? So
it is kind of, you know, a desirable situation that they created, because even if you are of that size, you know, now you're like, oh, you desire to have those clothes, so maybe that's where you were going with that word. But I think if you didn't feel that way, that word could be even more of a trigger.
Yeah.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like kind of a double-edged sword.
And I felt like with like everything that's going on, like I'm happy everybody's getting their shine. Like Lil Nas X, I'm happy for Lizzo, I'm happy for everybody. And I feel like Cupcake, anybody who's like been on the back burner that's now getting their shine, I'm happy for them. You feel me? My whole thing was, I noticed that like lately it's been like a push towards that way. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but I'm saying I don't feel like it's genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong. But I still get that Pride Month, that Black History Month, that Hispanic heritage, that breast cancer awareness feel, or it's just like, oh, we're gonna push it now, and then once we make our money, all right, it is what it is. And that's how I feel about it. I could be dead wrong.
I mean, that can be said about everything.
Yeah.
But that's just how I felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to like put anybody down. I felt like even from the backlash that I got, everybody was telling me, oh, you fat phobic, blah, blah, blah. And it don't really bother me because I don't know y'all for real. Like, y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know the people I talk to, the people I run with, the people that's in my circles. You just know what I said. You know what I'm saying? And y'all took it however y'all want to take it. However you interpret it is how it made you fil. And you're right about that. And
it's from where you're standing.
Right.
So, like, it depends on the lifestyle that you live. To kind of continue with this, but, like, talk about something more that I know.
Yeah.
The problem with these things that we're listing, like Pride Month, Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, we have representation, but we don't have ownership.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, talking about Black Panther. Black Panther was like amazing movie, whatever.
Yeah.
They made so much money, but like who made the most money from that movie?
The producer.
And who was the producer? Some white man.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Marvel
like,
Studios.
We don't have ownership over anything yet.
Yeah, and you know what? I love that you brought that up because I've been saying that. Like, even like people feel like I was just dampening the hype, but I'm like, when Black Panther came out, I'm like, yo, I realize Michael Cooper's getting paid, but after the movie's done, he's not getting any royalties. That's not going to him. He gets maybe a little cut, but everything goes to Disney. Who owns Disney? You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, I understand where you're coming from on that point, because I feel like in all those instances, like you said, we don't have ownership, and we don't own something. You could be used at any time. You know what I'm saying? Like going to work. Like, you go to work for somebody to make somebody else's dream come true. They tell you when to come in, when you can leave, how much you're going to make. But even though you're the one pushing the product, you're the one making the product go, you're not really getting ownership, even though you're the face of it, more or less. Yeah. You're the first person they interact with. So I understand where you're coming from with that.
And with that, the reason I accept the campaign, the reason we accept private, the reason we accept all these things is because we don't have the ownership. So it's like getting where you fit in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why it was like, even with the explanation, you saying like you're coming at Nike, it should have been directly at Nike.
Right.
Nike. Like, there shouldn't have been anything about the actual, like, desiring to be obese. And I understand the desire word was wrong, but I'm just saying, like, as a person who just looks for that representation, because I know we don't have the ownership and we barely have the representation. I can go to H&M and I'm never going to find anything for me. I have to shop online. Like, that's just that.
Right.
But it's like Nike, although we understand why they're doing it, they still did it. So that gives me something.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I feel you. It's like, for me, it'd be like, and y'all, it'd be like Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I understand where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm not saying but. I understand where you're coming from. And when I said that, excuse me, better. When I said that, I wasn't thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of like an impulsive thing.
Yeah, because it was just a tweet.
Yeah,
I understand what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Twitter's my life. So
yeah, you're never expecting it to just blow. Even if it's a positive tweet, you know what I'm saying? You're never expecting it. Like, some people are, I don't know. But I'm never tweeting and like, yo, this shit gonna blow up if I tweet this shit. I just be like rambling and I move on to the next thing.
And you weren't trolling either by saying it. You know, that was your genuine thought and take on it. So
that was like, it was like a quick moment, and then like after the backlash, I was like, all right, let me take a step back, look at it objectively. Because at first, when you get attacked like that, what's the first thing you do? You go on the defensive, like, and I can say that because the first thing I did was like, what? And I said what I said, like, and then after reading the responses, it's like, oh, that's how y'all taking it. I didn't mean it that way. But at that point, it's like so far gone. I'm not gonna go back and explain it now because anything I say is gonna be looked at as
chastised. You'll be chastised for anything you say.
If I say anything positive, if I apologize, it's gonna be looked at as fake. Or are you just trying to backtrack because you got caught? Or like, no, but it is what I said. What I said, and I wasn't trying to come at anybody directly or make anybody feel outcasted or bullied or anything like that. It was just a half-second thought. You tweet it out. All right, move on to the next tweet. And then, like, if you read my tweets today, you be looking like, nigga, what? This what you was talking about today?
I mean, it's almost like, even though it was on the internet, it's just still the power of the tongue, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when you put it out there,
listen,
it's out there. Like, I remember when I was younger, and I tell this story all the time. I went to, like, Sunday school and stuff, so we had to do this assignment, and we had to push all the toothpaste out of the tube. And, you know, who could do it the fastest.
Who could put it back.
And then it was who could put it back. And nobody could put it back. Like, you
because it's gone, it's done. Yeah.
And it just, you know, I will never forget that because even something that small stuck with me to see the severity and, you know what I mean, understand really the power of the things you say and the effect that they can have on people and then how that can in turn affect you.
Right.
So because we live in this society now where we should include more people in every aspect of everyday life, I hope this is a start for them as a company with their campaign. You know what I mean? Like you said, I hope they introduce all sizes and all shoes in the Y option.
Right.
Even if they, you know, only are available online or whatever. But I just hope that it becomes more of the norm for all clothing stores to do the same.
Right.
Like, you shouldn't even really have a plus size section, in my opinion. Like, there's so many sizes that can manage to be in one section that plus size should just fit in that section. I don't think plus size should be singled out.
Right.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of messed up.
It's very almost embarrassing
to have to be over there in your section
and like you waddle over there and like it's embarrassing because you're just standing over there like picking your clothes and it literally says plus size above you and it's just like,
and to think that this whole department store I could fit anything in all of these sections and all of your options for plus size people are just right here.
Right.
So their sports clothes, their, you know, swimwear, their everyday clothes, their denim is all in this one section. So that means your pickings are small and your options are smaller for plus size people. Right. So it just becomes a whole discriminatory experience. I feel like being a plus size shopper. Like, I used to be larger than this, and at one point in time I used to be in plus size sections and stuff looking at clothes, and I feel like I used to be like, damn. Like, it's motivation to, I guess, lose weight if that's what you really want to do because, baby, if you're fashionable, you're not finding clothes in the store. Right. And it's like, even for somebody that's not plus size, you're not really finding them. So imagine your section being the corner of this huge department store and all of your options have to solely be in that corner.
24 foot by 30 foot section.
And even now, you know, like, I mean, not now, but always I've had very long legs. So even just having like different proportions than the norm proportions for somebody who's kind of the same split in half, I'm not that way. I can't do tall pants because then the crotch be all long. I don't have a long crotch and ass. Like, so it's just like now, you know, I'm struggling to find stuff for even my body type.
Right.
It's just something I think that has been a issue that hasn't been spoken on for department stores and just stores alike for a long time.
Right, I guess, what's the right word for this?
This was an educational experience, I think, for you.
I'm learning more. I guess you could say, like, but even then, I should have knew better, because I have people around me, you know what I'm saying, and I know I'm not trying to make anybody feel ostracized,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, but it's definitely something like it's a shame because it makes me seem hypocritical because on my bio on Twitter it says measure twice, cut once. You know what I'm saying? So it makes me seem hypocritical because it makes it seem as if I didn't measure at all, which I didn't. So it's very hypocritical of me to just put it out there like that. So I owned it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna say I was wrong for how I worded it.
Mm-hmm.
My intentions behind it weren't wrong, but how I worded it was wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm like, I won't go as far as to say I was completely wrong, but the way I worded it was definitely insensitive and hurtful.
Especially where you said you're from?
Atlantic City.
So there's a history behind like being big, and it's usually in like black and brown communities,
Right.
where you see like the.
But do you know why?
Yeah, I know why.
All right.
What did I say I was the president of? Exactly.
My bad.
It's the food deserts. It's the redlining. It's all that stuff.
Yeah.
That puts us in a certain box to where the supermarket down the street has the leftovers from the ShopRite up on the Upper East Side or something like that. So like that's where the obesity comes from. So I bet most of the people who were responding to you were probably black and brown, saying like.
And it was mostly women as well,
Yeah.
because of course it was
Of
women
course
in the
depicted,
campaign, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that that's important to speak on that because it's a mental thing. Like when you look at it from all of those aspects, obesity isn't just like, okay, I'm not going to say it's not a choice because I'm always saying like everyone has a choice. I stand by that.
Kanye.
Everyone has a choice. But I also feel, and there's really no but here, I just also feel that inherited behavior, even eating, even just your lifestyle that's around you, your environment, things that you can't necessarily help until you're of age and understanding, like supermarkets in your reach. Just, it took me a while to be educated and learn, like, you know, holistic ways of healing and natural ways of eating and understanding the value that it has to my body, things like that. So when you think about it like that, it's like some people really are some people are overweight because these are their options. This is their day-to-day life, and that's just so. That's such a crazy way to view, like, you know what I mean, to stem off of that.
And then also, think if you're from like these disproportionate places, think of when the first gym was built in that area.
Right. If
besides the school gym, but even if there even is one, like that's also the thing. It's like we don't have the options. McDonald's is closer than the gym every time. The Wendy's is closer, so it's like that's also a factor that people don't seem to understand. I'm not even talking about you anymore.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
just talking about in general, like people don't understand because fat phobia is a very real thing, like in a lot of communities.
Absolutely.
So it's like people don't understand. Like there's a history to this.
Right.
I couldn't decide what I was eating until I was like in middle school, high school.
Right.
And definitely I would say later in high school because you didn't have money.
And healthiness didn't become a thing for our communities till like
Michelle Obama.
Yesterday.
I'm gonna keep it 100 since Michelle Obama. For real, I never looked at.
And we was mad when she put that in. I was like,
no more Domino's pizza, like.
You want to take away my pizza at lunch?
Like the way I see it is like I said, I'm a caveat off what y'all just said because I agree. Because I never knew. I never even looked at what I was eating. But then I kind of do a lot of self-homework. You know what I'm saying? Liv can attest to this. You don't really know me. But if you ever get to know me, you can attest to this. I'm always bringing up topics that's like offhand. Like, what made you think of that?
Right.
You feel me? But like, I've always looked at like, yo, why is the urban areas mostly corner stores that's by foreigners? No shade.
That goes back to ownership.
We don't own,
get yours. Right. It's by shade who live off the black people's back. You got liquor stores.
That's all there is.
And churches. And that's all you got. So you selling hope, you selling fast food, and you selling people who's trying to get rich off your back. That's all you got around you. You understand what I'm saying? And when you start looking at the problems in those communities, they stem from what's around them. You know what I'm saying? So as y'all said earlier, you don't really know what's around you to a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
So like, as you grow up, you go to the corner store. What are you getting? Chips. You're not getting an apple.
Like even earlier today, I was watching this video on Vice, like on YouTube, on their channel, and it was about, the title was basically like living off of $7.50, like an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh God, I gotta watch this. So it was about a single black woman with a 1-year-old son. Typical story, like poverty-stricken story.
Very common.
She worked at McDonald's, you feel me? And where she lived, the minimum wage was $7.50, like $7.50, and she was like 23 years old. Probably didn't finish high school. I don't even think she mentioned it, but I mean, not to judge her based off how she spoke, but of course, very broken grammar. You know what I mean? Like chances of getting hired anywhere
public
else,
school education,
and very minimal too.
Right.
You know, her chances of, like, anybody else could be like, well, why shouldn't apply somewhere else? But if you just sit and dissect the 7-minute video and take something else from it than what she said, she probably can't get hired really anywhere else.
Yeah.
So now she's breaking down her expenses and how she's managing to pay for things. And when they start talking about food stamps, you know, everything is pretty much assisted for her. But when she talks about food stamps, she gets $216 a month, right, for her and her son. That's basically, let's just say $55 a week at best, rounding it up. So she gets $55 a week for her and her kid. And she goes to a regular supermarket, let's say like ShopRite.
It's like $7.50 a day.
Aside from the little bit of money she makes, you know what I mean, she only can afford to spend her food stamps. She can't even afford to spend $1 of her own money on food, right? So what got me was that she had to, you know, only buy frozen and processed food because one, she can't afford to buy anything fresh that will just go to waste. She can't afford to buy anything that's fresh and of bulk because it's just her and her kid. So the chances of them even eating it all is low. And then it's like, you know, so I'm just like, damn, like my mom years ago, like 10 years ago, went through our house at one point and just trashed everything. Like it just took her to do like that, like a detox of the whole crib, you know? All of the pantries, whatever, like just had to get turned over. And the privilege that I had to be able to have a mother who understood the power of the food we're putting in our body,
right,
got me as a young adult in the right mindset to make better decisions. Even still now, I don't 100%, of course.
Who does though?
Right, but I'm definitely way more health conscious. And to see that video, and now we're talking about this, the girl was definitely overweight. So anybody else will look at her and be like, well, she still must eat. She big, you know what I mean?
See, what I pulled from that,
but it's like, you know, she doesn't eat the right food.
Yeah, it's quality food. You can eat 2 times a day and still be fat.
What I pulled from that was, you had a mother who showed you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't have that at all.
A lot of people don't have anyone, no matter who it is.
At all.
And like I also said, I had a sister, and that's the same sister I spoke about in the episode we talked about vaccinations.
Right.
Like I have a niece who has never been vaccinated. My sister is just all about holistic health, but she's vegan. So she's been vegan for like before the wave, you know, for like 15 plus years. And I just feel like if I didn't have people like that, there would be so many things I would rush out to the drugstore to buy, or just, you know, I just wouldn't be the way I am. Not saying I'm the best way to be, but it works for me. And I find it works a lot better than some of these other types of ways that are introduced. So like going back to the food, that just really hit home just now, and the fact that I seen that video earlier and the girl was overweight in the video, and I'm just thinking like, damn, she probably faces so many people every day that have that whole mindset of why can't you just, and it's like not that easy.
People will literally take food out of your cart. Like that happens. Like people will literally be like, you sure you want to get that? Were you gonna give me the money to get the other thing that you want me to get? And it's people just don't have the empathy, like to see where a person is in their life. Like we don't have the privilege of just going out and doing whatever we want. Like now with gentrification, it's all happening, but like we still can't afford this because you have, like I recently did something around AC where I was helping like promote AC. We did not go to, when I tell you that looks like a totally different AC from the AC that all of us in this room know. I was like, when did they build this? When did this get here? I was at a yoga place.
Were you on the Tennessee Avenue? Yep. I had actually got the chance to go to like the opening of a lot of those places, and I get my hair braided right there. There's still the African hair braiding shop.
Oh, I saw, yeah.
And that's been my braider for like since I was a little girl. And I talked to her about how this is going to affect her. And she basically told me, like, listen, they're at the point where they're willing to let me stay here, but I just have to reface the shop. Because if I don't look up to par, they're going to get my ass up out of here. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's crazy that you even got, I knew exactly where you were talking about.
We went to the casinos. The casinos, I was like, okay. And then I was noticing, like, this is where the gentrification starts. Because if they can get them in the casino, people are going to not just go on the boardwalk all day, every day. Yeah. They're going to branch off.
And the luxury is to live on water. Yeah. As we know, people will pay millions to live on that water.
A lot of money. And that's a concern that we had when Stockton moved there. Because he was like, y'all better not gentrify the area. But I know it's going to happen. And I was with, like, some people who were, like, higher up. They were frightened to go out into the town. Like, they would never go.
Like the Renaissance area?
If we weren't there, she was like, I would never go to the 7-Eleven if y'all weren't in the car with me. I'm like, nothing's going to happen to you at the 7-Eleven. I kept trying to explain, like, the moment you look like something bad's going to happen, something bad may happen.
And when you attract that energy, just period in your life, that's what's going to happen.
Well, like, is this a safe space? I'm like, there's art on the walls. There's, like, everything is just so beautiful to me.
Right.
And it's like, you see all this as fear. I'm like, this is culture.
They allow media persuasion and their own personal judgment that they pass on people. You know, I think people that come into the Atlantic City that aren't familiar with it or only have heard about it, okay, at the end of the day, it's so small, the crime rate's going to be high no matter what happens. One person gets shot, the crime rate statistically will be high.
One crime alone is going to raise it.
Like, it's so small. Yeah. It's literally 10 minutes long. Anything that happens there, it'll be a big deal.
Yeah. You can run Atlantic City in literally 15 minutes because I've done it. I've literally done it.
And if you think about it, I mean, anybody, unfortunately, who has lost their life or anything really crazy wasn't like a victim or like an innocent tourist or anything like that. These are residents of the area who had their own issues and got into their own stuff. You got a problem with you. And that's the thing. It's like, to continue to make us look like monsters is just like, listen, you losing out on the opportunities at this point. Now you want to come into our areas, though, where we have this rich culture that we're trying to hold on to. Yeah. And because we don't really value it as much as we should, they're just able to do it, like, overnight.
Right. Yeah. But you got to understand, like, what's happening around Atlantic City. Once you understand what's happening around Atlantic City, you understand Atlantic City is next. If you look at Wildwood, because Wildwood was run down before. Wildwood was built up to be this tourist destination.
Well, if you look at the history of Atlantic City, too, I mean, if you take it back, instead of going, forward, it was all white people. For her,
yeah, but not really, because you had that Chicken Bone Beach.
But when it comes to like the inlet and stuff,
but yeah, it was definitely redlining. Yeah,
that the inlet area, like where my mom was raised and stuff, like I'm talking a long.
But Uptown was predominantly black.
There were back in the day, the black people were predominant in their own space, and a lot of them were business owners, and a lot of them were doing well, like my grandparents. Yeah, but like where, let's say like Back Bay, Gardner's Basin, that whole area. Those events and stuff that they have now, that is us, that was them before. And a lot of those houses that are still on that water are owned by white people.
Yeah, but you got to understand.
They left for a reason because we flooded in even more.
But back then, even when I was young, I was raised back there. So my dad always fucking preached to me about that area and why it was important that I was raised in that area. And Chicken Bone Beach. And why it was important that I go to Chicken Bone Beach and why it's called Chicken Bone Beach. Because black people weren't allowed to go to any of the other beaches along Pacific Avenue. And back then, Pacific Avenue was the avenue before Atlantic Avenue became Atlantic Avenue. Pacific Avenue was the avenue, and everybody wanted to go to Pacific Avenue. But black people weren't allowed to go. So they basically was pushed into that back area by Chicken Bone Beach. And Chicken Bone Beach is known to be the beach for black people. Right. To the point where Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and other predominantly black figures came from all around the country to visit Chicken Bone Beach. And then they built the Renaissance, and the Renaissance was predominantly black. Like, when I grew up, they had like a jazz mural on the back of the Renaissance. And it was predominantly, it was like what most black businesses were. And they would go home to Uptown or Black Maryland Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Before Black Maryland Avenue had those apartments, there were houses owned by black people.
Like where the row houses are.
Exactly. And then things started changing in Atlantic City rapidly.
Yeah.
The casinos came in.
I'm gonna bring in this book one day and show you. My dad just got this book from somewhere. This is what made me just even bring up how prominent white people were at one point in the past, because it just has so many pictures, like so much history.
They still are.
Like, yeah. But you see though, when they move out, they move into these spaces that are so comfortable and so secluded also.
Yeah.
Like, we're not ever having a reason to drive through Margate, Longport, even Ventnor for real.
But you know.
And then even like, coming all the way out, they started, going to what we got, Smithville, going that way, Apsecan, Galloway.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Mays Landing, Egg Harbor City going that way. Then you got Egg Harbor Township, Summers Point, Ocean City going that way. So it's just like, I don't know. It's all systematic.
Very much so. Systematic.
It's just all systematic.
But like, why they're coming back to Atlantic City, right? You do know why. Like a lot of white people starting to flood back into Atlantic City.
What's your opinion on that?
All right. If you look at it from an economic standpoint, Atlantic City is the richest
There's a lot of money
city in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
It brings in over $2.something billion of casino revenue alone. We're not talking about retail. We're not talking about restaurants. Just casino revenue was $2.7 billion, I believe. Last time I read, and I was like, maybe like I was still in school, so by April I read about that, the paper and everything. Atlantic City brings in so much money. They want to start driving black people out to rebuild it back as a tourist domain.
Destination,
Yeah, because they felt like we've run it down, and now they feel like they can come back and take it because the property value, they drove it so low at the point where taxes are still high, but you can still buy it low. You can get a property in Atlantic City for under $55,000 if you have the money. You understand what I'm saying? So that was their goal, like drive. Because when they left, like back in like 2000, early 2000s, the property value in Atlantic City was high as hell. To get a house in Atlantic City was well over $100,000 for a rundown house. Their goal was to drive the property value so low that when they come back to buy, it's so low and they can just
snatch everything up.
Exactly, and they're doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it.
They're doing it. They're doing. So
I mean, you talking about less than 50,000? They got these houses, like the row houses we talking about, 20,000, 30. Like they're just giving them away to people. They have
because it's funny because when I left to go to the army. In fact, I left when I was 18. I moved to Sicklerville, and I was telling you that earlier. I moved to Sicklerville. I had a son. Started building life up there. Realized, all right, I'm not making no money. I need a foundation. I can't keep shelling out money for school. I need somewhere to pay for school. Went to the army. When I left, Atlantic City looked totally different. So when I finally moved back to Atlantic City, April of 2018, I felt like I was in a totally different city. Like, I started seeing, like, in fact, Mediterranean Avenue used to go straight all the way back to Melrose. That got cut off. They started building houses right there. They had tall houses that I had never seen before uptown. They had the houses on Tennessee being built when I first came back. It was so much going on. They had Hard Rock about to open. They had those Nobi being built.
Selling at all. Those North Beach houses across.
I wouldn't even front on that.
That's an amazing idea. Like when I was there, they was like, that's an astonishing idea.
I mean, it's cute.
Yeah.
Like it's cute.
They're trying to build a district. They're trying to build a district. Now you got South Beach in Miami. You got North Beach in Miami. That's what they're trying to build.
Can't even
for sure, like closer home.
Yeah, but they have like a fraction of them that's supposed to be a part of the low income tax credit, and they can't even fill those. When you can't even fill low income housing in an area like that, that says a lot about what you're trying to project on the people that you're trying to project it to.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, like, I completely agree with you. You're speaking on facts. Like the fact that they're coming back for economical gain, and I think that it's just happening everywhere. Like the gentrification wave is just,
it's for the taking.
It's unfortunately happening anywhere they can find.
Yeah.
If it can happen in Brooklyn, it can happen to anywhere.
Right.
I was recently talking about this on my Instagram story because it was just, it's interesting how they put you in a space. They'll put black people in a space
all the time.
Like, I'm just talking about real basic, like redlining, putting them, and you're only allowed to live in this section.
A project.
Right.
Yeah. So they'll put you in the space, keep you in the space, understand, and then realize that you put so much into society, just with like the culture, like they steal everything. That's just that. So then they build from that culture. Does that make sense? So like AC right now, I would say it's predominantly black.
Yeah.
Correct.
Agreed.
So it's they've created a culture there to where I see gentrification right now in capitalism is never going to be a good thing. It has potential to be a good thing though, if it wasn't for profit. If they were to renovate these homes and give people the justice that they were supposed to be given, because when they put these people in these areas, anywhere where there's limited resources, like we were talking about earlier, the food deserts, the corner stores, the liquor stores, like those are prominent there because that's all they would give us to survive.
Right.
So if they were to have that yoga shop, have the coffee shop down the street, the juice shops, all that, build the gym, if they were to properly do that, it would change
culture.
It would change
without
the
driving up price and driving people out.
Yes. So if they were to instead of making it for profit, to where like they see people like they see them in the first row of houses.
Yeah.
Because of course it's a gradual thing, so they see them in the first row of houses off the boardwalk. If they saw the people who were still living there, just was like, we want this, we just want better for you guys.
Right.
And they built up these homes. Gentrification, I would be like, welcome.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like most people that lack knowledge, they just see it and they're like, well, why don't you want that? Like, it's great for the area, and it's like for the area, like, but for the people, no.
Like they're pushing, they're going to push you out.
It's absolutely no way these people can survive and sustain the payments of the new rent and stuff that they have to pay. Yeah. It's no way.
And when you say that when you say that the culture will change, you gotta understand once like if you gave the certain people us resources. Can you imagine a change in activity? Instead of going out to just sit in the corner and make trouble, because idle time, you can't think of nothing but to get in trouble.
Yeah.
If I have something to do, you know what I'm saying? If I have somewhere to go, I'm not going to jeopardize that for some foolishness. You know what I'm saying?
Like Atlantic City doesn't even have like the after school programs and stuff
They
anymore.
cut the rec.
Yeah, they cut rec off, and there was like 4 schools they offered rec for all of the many children in the different areas.
Right.
So if you're cutting off recreational activity,
it's a goal. You know.
What do you think these children are gonna do?
But you know
exactly.
You know.
But it's only getting cut off in these areas though.
Yeah, but you go to Sovereign Avenue is open.
And it's sad because that's still, Atlantic City.
You know what?
But it's servicing a different type of people.
I was in Stockton and I had a leadership class, and Dr. Haley Baum, she's awesome.
Sis.
We had a class.
What does she teach?
Leadership. It's like a leadership.
Oh, okay.
Leadership and strategy
She's
change.
also part of like one of the administrations.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's dope. So we had a class and they were talking about outreach to Atlantic City and reaching back to like the kids, because even me growing up, I never knew what the fuck Stockton was. Schools I say Temple, Rutgers, fucking
it's
Howard.
Very easily overlooked being from this
Morgan.
area.
I mean, Morgan.
Hampton.
Not him. No, it's not a black college. It's
like you just talking about schools around
the
us.
schools around us, yeah. And basically, I can't get that in my mind. Montclair. I said Morgan. Montclair, Frederick Dickinson. Those are the schools that were pushed upon me. Like, if you're gonna go to school, which you might not even go to school, go to these schools. I never knew about Rowan until like I got late in high school. I never knew about Stockton. Like Stockton College, what's that? So they were just basically trying to push that like to the kids, like let them know that we're an option. You can stay home and afford to go to college as an in-state school. So they were talking about it, and they were like, well, what schools have you been reaching out to? They were talking to administrators, and the one dude, I'm not going to say his name, he was like, well, we've been reaching out to Sovereign Avenue. Like, you know how many schools in Atlantic City? Oh, Sovereign and Richmond. That's the 2 schools he said he was reaching out to. And those are the kids they're focusing on. And I'm like, and I raised my hand because I'm from Atlantic City. I'm like, what about Uptown? What about West Side? What about New York Avenue?
Pennsylvania.
What about Pennsylvania Avenue? What about these schools that's in the black communities that y'all just overlook? What about those? Well, we're not close to those schools. I said, well,
yes,
but you're eating off that economy's back. You moved into the city using tax dollars, tax breaks, and all that off the economy's back that you're stealing from. Why not focus on our kids? You already taken from them enough.
And I don't know if you know, but Richmond Avenue and Sovereign are where predominantly the Spanish, Indian, all the other ethnicities that live in Atlantic City are in those areas.
Yeah.
Like literally they all live downtown.
Yeah.
And those 2 schools are downtown.
It's Red Line.
Those are the 2 elementary schools for downtown.
And once you pass Mississippi Avenue, going back that way, it's black.
And
Once
they
past
technically
Mississippi
are
going this way,
closer
Hispanic.
to Stockton, but
Yeah, but still,
if
how
they're
big-
in Atlantic City.
how big is Atlantic City? As you
Right.
said earlier, it's this big. Like
That's nuts.
basically, past Mississippi going back that way is pretty much black.
And then how can you just focus on 2 schools when there's like 7 elementary schools in this city? How can you just say, "Oh, we're just focusing on these 2," like
Yeah.
and comfortably?
And
it's
he was,
like
he
there's
was
7.
dead serious.
I know.
He was
I
dead
know he
serious.
was.
He was like, we're focused on these schools. And I asked, what about these other schools? And I was kind of getting angry because it's like,
It's kind of offensive when
I'm
you
from
know.
here.
You
I'm
know what I
from
mean?
here. Like, you gonna do this right in front of my face?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not even gonna sugarcoat it, nothing. You're just gonna, like, blatantly do it in my face?
I'd rather you blatantly do it.
So I know where you stand.
Yeah, like I don't like the people who taking it out of this context and bringing another one. Say I'm at work, and in my face, you're the nicest person in the world. But then when I leave, you saying the N-word, you doing all this, you commenting on other people doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I hate those type of people because it's like, I don't know. If no one tells me, I'm
Right.
smiling back in your face.
Or you work with that person, and as soon as another person walks away, they be like, "Oh my God, I can't stand."
Yeah, oh my God, he's so loud. He's so,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and then like I'd rather be blatantly
Right.
because now I know.
I'm not disagreeing with
everything.
that. I'm just saying he didn't even try.
Yeah,
He
I know.
was just
I
like,
understand,
it was just like a cutting knife. Like, yeah, basically, he's in so many words. He said, "Fuck that side of town. We
He
focus
was very
on this."
unwavering on his point.
Right, and he
said
was
what
like,
said.
and then when people
Exercise what he said.
people started calling him on it, they were like, his excuse was, "Well, this is a bureaucracy. That has nothing to do with you focusing on other schools.
Yeah.
We work off
Right. It's
off the
like-
budget we're given." I said, "The budget
Okay.
you're given." I said, "You charge the students an
How much
arm and a
money?
leg just to eat here."
First of all, imagine. I know the price of doing whatever he's doing to those 2 schools is much higher than if he would have did it to 4
Oh yeah,
other
Definitely.
disproportionate schools.
definitely.
So when people
Agreed.
say things like that, it's just like you literally. There's a demographic you're fighting for.
You wished I was uneducated when
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
said that, but unfortunately, I'm informed.
Right.
Because
we see. we
Yeah,
know
you
the shits.
you
And-
hoped you were talking to someone
And
else.
me being the only black person in the class, they didn't understand why
No
I
one
was
ever
so
does.
angry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like why I was like so frustrated. Like
Mhm.
I'm pushing. Like what are you talking about?
And that's what we talked about earlier when we just both used the word passionate, because it's passion that's behind
Yeah.
that, and it'll be easily viewed as anger by someone who doesn't understand or see the bigger picture here. But it's like so frustrating for something that's second nature to us all
Yeah.
sitting here. It's like we didn't even have to think about agreeing on that.
Right.
It was just like, what the fuck? Like, why isn't he like?
Right.
what the
And
fuck?
being one of those kids,
Yeah.
Right.
as growing up as one of those kids, is what affects you the most. Because it's like I was lucky. I actually had a mother and a father. They weren't always together, but they were there. I grew up with my father. I knew my father. I was lucky because he instilled values in
So,
me.
yeah.
He instilled knowledge in me. He made me read. He made me do this. So I was fortunate, but like, how many other kids wasn't?
And I'm happy you were in that class.
Yeah.
Because one, if there wasn't a black person in there in general, no one would have said anything.
Yeah.
But if there was a black person who was in there who still wouldn't have said anything, that's almost like their approval.
It's
Yeah.
acceptable
Enabling.
at that point.
Like they were like, okay, they didn't say anything, so we can get away with it.
We're gonna go forward.
Enabling.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I actually stood up. I wouldn't sit down. I was just like, nah, I'm gonna show you how angry I am. I won't disrespect Haley by leaving the class, but I'm not gonna give you the respect of just sitting down and just taking and sitting down while you just spew the bullshit that you're spewing. So I know like that it could be way better.
Do you know what some white people think about us?
Oh yeah,
They
all the
think-
time.
I mean, like when it pertains to like college, they think we get in because we're minorities.
Yeah.
Mhm, because
They
they gotta
think-
get the
Same
certain
thing
amount
with,
of percentage.
Same thing with jobs. Like they think we'll get it
Token.
because we're minorities. And I'm
Mhm.
like, hold
Token.
on.
They think it's black privilege. That's
Yeah.
that's what they use. Black
Yeah.
privilege.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah.
Mm.
They were like, we think like you're gonna get the job for sure because you're black, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's
Yo.
the exact reason why I'm not gonna get the job.
Right. If you knew anything.
Yeah, it's funny because they legitimately think black privilege is a thing.
Oh, well, what about this, right? I had a friend who's black by genetic race, but she's very fair-skinned
Right.
and also has a very Valley Girl heavy voice. And I'm calling her a friend very lightly as I tell this story.
Okay.
So we're at a bar, and it's like a lady smoking a cigarette. And, I mean, it's an area you're free to smoke cigarettes. I don't like cigarettes, but who am I to tell you can't do that? If they said we could smoke weed, I would be smoking weed right here.
Period.
And you probably wouldn't like it, and I would not give a fuck.
I'm dead.
Because we are allowed to do it. So it's like I was annoyed, but I had to respect the fact that she was smoking her cigarette.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like popping trash to my friend. I'm like, yo, we about to tell her to put that fucking cigarette. Like, she's chain smoking. Her and her guy, they both are smoking cigarettes back to back. Like, we stink at this point.
Drinking and smoking.
Yeah. So I'm just like, yo, we've been here for 2 hours. They still smoking. Like, I'm about to just go like, ma'am, you know, can you just give us like 15 minutes of clean air? You know, I'm just laughing with my friend. She was like, you can't say that to her. I'm like, well, I'm not really even going to say it, you know? She was like, oh, well, you know, I would say something to her. I'm like, what you going to say to her? So she's like, well, I was just going to, you know, politely go over there. First of all, I just listen to everything I'm saying. I was just going to politely go over there like I wasn't being polite, right? I was going to just politely go over there and say, well, ma'am, you know, you've been smoking cigarettes for quite a while, and it's not really good for you or the people around you. I'm like, so you about to go give her a health lesson, right? And also tell her what's good for her and what's not good for others, when all I was going to just ask for was 10 minutes? And you think that's a better way, right?
You think that's going to work,
so,
first of all?
Aside from that, this is what really got me, and this is why I'm bringing it up. She says, basically, she moves into, like, well, I work with white people, right? So now I'm ready to slap the shit out of her because I'm like, where the fuck are you about to go with this shit, right? But I'm so ready to slap her, I had to cut her the fuck off. Because as you can see, even now, I'm getting re-mad thinking about it. Like, first of all, I work with plenty of white people. Like, who doesn't fucking work with white people? Aren't they the majority? Okay, so everyone works with white people. Right. And for her to even have to make a point of that, I wasn't even going to let her finish where she was fucking trying to go.
Beneath her.
Yeah, she was like, you know, I work with white people. And I think she went on to say I'm friends with white people. Like, I'm not. But because she may have closer relationships with white people than I choose to hold, it's not by choice. It's just naturally I don't maybe have these closer relationships with white people. Right. But for her to be somebody I've known for 10 years and for her to use these 2 points so quickly on me, someone who's completely unbiased and so neutral that I can be in any space. Right. How dare you?
It's almost, like, it's almost as if like a white person was like, I have black friends.
I have black friends. Yeah,
that's
literally what it was. And when I talked to my best friend about it, and you know, this girl was a mutual friend of ours, she was totally like, she said that like after, she's like, so did she just try to hit you with the I got black friends? Like, I'm like, she absolutely tried it. Yeah. And it's just like, what the hell in your head made you think that that was okay? It's not.
It's actually infuriating in a way, because like
very. And I haven't been out with her since.
It's bad enough that it's bad enough that we gotta deal with them. To also deal with our own. It's like, yo, what the fuck? You understand what I'm saying? It's like, are we ever?
And that's the acceptable person that would have sat in that room, and would have never said anything.
Go for it.
I love Richmond Avenue. The kids there are so nice.
I work with them.
Never been there. I know those students.
Never walked Richmond Avenue.
I have Spanish friends.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
I just never I never understood why. Like, why do you even feel that way? Like, I don't get it. Yeah. Like, I'll never get it, because I don't feel the disdain I have towards some of them is warranted. You understand?
It's inflicted too by their actions.
Yeah,
like, it's not even like I want to feel this way. It's like, I'm sorry, I have to feel this way.
Yeah, it's the actions that you do, and when I say the actions, I mean legislators, executive branch. You know who I'm talking about. On down, it's the way y'all carry yourself, as if the Aryan race was a real thing. Right. There's no superior race here. And if you want to get technical, we could really get into it. In many ways, you know what I mean? Y'all wouldn't survive in some climates. That's all I'm going to say. Like,
we know why they want the genes.
Like,
we know why they want the organ.
I just don't understand, like, the premise.
Not the organ donor. Don't.
That's
another episode.
That's a whole other podcast.
I mean,
we had a discussion before. We had melanin stealing. You know how much a gram of melanin is? Okay. A gram of melanin is worth more than a gram of gold. That's ridiculous. That you can even steal melanin. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing until like I did some homework.
Anything, except literally accepting the fact that they could never be.
Get out.
Like, It's crazy, but I'm so glad that you brought up food deserts and things like that because that allowed us to go into a whole nother avenue. Like we just went down a whole nother street, and the intersection between the two topics, you know, is so dynamic, and that's why we have to be so much more aware of what the hell we be saying out here and how we be saying it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Don't wrap around. I like that.
That's why I got her. You know what I'm saying? That's
No, that was really important.
No, that was insightful. I mean, from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing ill will to say about it. Like hold on, let me open this book I just got read. All right.
I'm dead.
Wait.
No,
Hold on,
for
wait.
real.
I'm reading a footnote. Nah, but for real, like that was awesome. We actually over time, but I felt like we should just keep going because there was so many points being made. Cause I say 55 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we had like an hour and 5.
An hour, yep.
So it was so many points being made, I couldn't like stop it. And usually I cut it off like, all right, we're gonna finish it, but like I had to let y'all make these points and the dialogue to continue because that's the only way it's ever gonna reach.
It came full circle.
Everything.
It literally did.
And it just that one tweet touched so many things in so many ways. You understand what I'm saying?
It's always deeper than that.
And we dived from like this moment to talking about the future, to talking about the past,
Yeah,
talking about like
Present.
why, because it wasn't just like we talked about this and was like okay, but we talked about why it's an actual issue.
yeah.
And I think that's like the more important part.
Right. And for me, I don't know about y'all. For me, it's more about learning these things. Not even learning, just like being brushed up on them
And aware.
and made aware and basically more cognizant of who it affects and why it affects them, as opposed to just my side of the view, my perspective.
And the power in being allies, like we really have to be allies. Like we're all black, apparently, right? So it's like
I don't know, am I? I look a little brown. No,
I
I'm
mean,
kidding.
we have to find our common grounds beyond that also, and stand by being black, people in media, being black people that have these common interests. Like we have to be each other's allies. We have to be there for our skinny friends, our fat friends, our in-between friends, and tall, everything,
short,
all of that. Like we
that.
all have to be there for each other. The support for everybody has to be the same.
And even more than an ally, an advocate.
Right.
Like an ally
and I was going to touch on
does
that.
their job and just sits there. And like, you're an ally right now, even if you don't say anything. It's when they come into your space, you'll treat them the same.
Right.
But an advocate will stand in front of you and say like, this is what the problem
in
with
your
you're
absence.
saying. Yeah.
Right.
That's, so I like the term advocate.
Absolutely.
Because like, yes, we want allies. That's great. I like to be able to come into your store and see myself.
Right.
But I want someone higher up than you advocating for me.
Right. And I also appreciate that you were willing to come on and do it. You know what I'm saying? Even after knowing, what was said, you didn't just like, nah, fuck him, I ain't going, because you wanted to hear what I had to say. And that goes way further and says more about your character than anything you could have possibly said. The action of you actually coming on and speaking, actually, to me. And
especially because you don't even know him,
Right.
It was because Liv too.
Right. But even
she
then,
was like, that's just him. He always got his foot in his mouth. I'm like, but even if, like, I didn't know Liv, I just saw the tweet.
Right.
I want to meet people halfway. Like, that's just always a thing. That's always a thing I like to do. I want to see why you think that. Because I think it's more than just debunking you. It's educating.
Right.
So, like, it wouldn't be anything. If I died tomorrow, I'd like to know that I educated somebody or, like, I left a mark in somebody's life.
Right.
So if you tweeted that and it didn't blow up and I was the only person that saw it, it's not my job to tell you why you're wrong.
Right.
It's my job to show you why what you said was problematic or whatever. And it's not this, just in general.
I feel you.
Yes,
And
I love this whole episode.
I appreciate Liv.
It was great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, shout out to Liv.
Because even though
Shout out
she's
to
not
Liv.
here, you know what I mean? She
That's my
made this
sis.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And to me, that means a lot because, I mean, she's the partner, you know what I mean? And you kind of need people. And the platform as well, using the platform for these type of things, to me, is important. Even if nobody watches it, to me, the fact that I have it, because you never know when a tweet can blow up and go viral or when your video can go viral, you know what I mean? So,
The video pissed me off.
just saying, you know what I mean? But That's O. Jayden.
Yes.
Tell people where they can find you at, man.
Follow me on Instagram, Jayden Cohen Boyce. I'll send you the information. Not Twitter, because things is going on right now with Twitter. YouTube, Jayden Entertainment TV. Stuff's coming.
Let's go. Let's
Yes.
go. Liv, you already know. When you rap.
Let's Life Live. Y'all already know where to find me at. And you still can't find me on Twitter though. But just find me on Instagram.
Yo, find me on the gram. Eye.Juice.ent. Same thing for your YouTube. You will never get my Twitter. You would never. You think that tweet was bad? Shit. I be saying some dumb shit all the time. Some dumb ass shit. But I mean, who doesn't? You know what I mean? But that's not an excuse. I'm just saying. They're not always hurtful. Sometimes it just be dumb shit that I be doing. I just don't want y'all to know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
today's
that's Raw
episode was
OJ.
great,
I
man.
want to thank you, Jayden.
Of course.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you guys. Anybody to come on and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're definitely coming back when Liv finally comes.
Of
Oh,
course,
yeah,
of
we
course,
got to
of
have a
course.
panel.
Cause I'm still itching to sit and talk to her.
Oh, Liv is dope.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Liv,
still haven't met her, so it'll be dope to meet you.
Oh, you never met Liv?
No.
You like Liv?
Yeah, it'll
Liv
be
is
dope to
dope.
meet her and
Yeah.
then sit with you again with her.
Liv is dope. She
Yeah, we
annoying
need
as
that.
shit because she be coming at my shit all
Yeah.
the time. But I respect that, you feel me?
Yeah.
Because not many people willing to do that. To me, at least.
She's very real. Like, she's a real ass person.
We
Nah,
need people.
she
like
not.
that.
She not real, but my fist. My fist be lit.
See you.
My fist be lit.
Signing out.
No, some real shit. If she don't tell me my fist trash, I feel bad about my fit. But that's another thing. Raw OJ, we out, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time.
Peace.
I gotta get
Today's episode was
hold on, I gotta get like 30
Oh, wait,
seconds
no.
of silence.